Today I thought we'd talk about what we know and what we could reasonably infer about the Warhammer 40K app that's going to be coming out along with 9th edition. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics for another discussion type video, where we're going to focus on one of the smaller announcements of the weekend. In the news that Games Workshop slipped in that they will be doing a Warhammer 40K app, which has certainly been something that they've been requested for quite a long time now. They have given us a few nuggets of information as to how this will actually work, and I think we can make quite a lot of educated guesses on the rest based on the Age of Sigmar app, which is already very much in existence. So I think it's long been clear that a digital rule set will be quite a good idea for 40k for quite a number of reasons, even if it was just to support and help the printed version. Basically, over the last few years, Games Workshop has moved to a lot more of a living rule set, meaning that they actively tweak and make changes to the current rules with both FAQs and erratas to make sure that the rules are functioning as intended, and both points changes and also rules erratas to change how the rules work should one particular combination become overly strong or they want to reward a weaker unit. Obviously this is a bit of a nightmare for printed rulebooks, as it means that you have to publish FAQs, which you can only get digitally anyway via PDFs. I know that a lot of people don't like the admin of managing FAQs and things. Personally, I don't find it too much difficulty myself. It's usually fairly easy to memorise the broad strokes of FAQs, but even then it is certainly possible to miss things, even when you have a lot of time dedicated to playing Warhammer. Theoretically, a digital rule set could fix all this, because they could literally make the updates to the documents on the digital rules themselves and just change the numbers or data entries there. And it means that you could have a rule set that you could pretty much guarantee was up to date, provided it was well maintained. I think this seems to be somewhat what they're going for, with this announcement of the 9th edition mobile app, and the reveal of what the little app icon will likely look like, which is the one in the top right hand corner here with half of an Imperial Aquila on it. There are other benefits to having an app like this, such as reducing the amount of sheer numbers of rulebooks that you need to lug around with you everywhere, as they bravely showcased on their Warhammer 40k preview with this little cartoon chap carrying a frankly unreasonable amount of books. To be honest, I did find it quite brave of them, and just a little bit cheeky to include this character lugging around all the books, as it is a genuine problem with 40k that if you collect a couple of armies, say you want to field Salamander's Space Marines alongside Imperial Guard for example, you likely are going to be needing an enormous amount of books to play. There's the big rule book for all of the rules and missions, chapter approved for the latest points costs, the Space Marine Codex for Salamander's rules, Salamander's supplement for their rules there, the Imperial Guard Codex, potentially the Imperial Guard Psychic Awakening for new stratagems and other updates like tank cases, and if you're using Guard then you might even want one of the Vigilus formation books if you want to run something like the Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company or something. So that's potentially 7 publications to run one standard army that's only allied between 2 factions. I was being generous to them there by not even counting Faith and Fury Psychic Awakening, where you can get the Space Marine Masters of the chapter. In reality, I don't think the problem is quite as bad as it sounds, as a lot of those rulebooks only contain some minor rules. That's really quite easy just to commit them to memory, or just jot them down on a bit of paper or something, so you don't actually have to lug your physical book into battle with you. But there's no question that 8th edition 40k certainly has a rules bloat problem, which is kind of a direct consequence of the frequent and interesting rules updates that seem to be the order of the day, and I am a fan of in all fairness. So hopefully this app, if it's well done, could be something to fight that rising tide. We're not 100% sure how it'll work yet, but their features that they have said on their own website say it'll include a comprehensive army builder, rules for your collection, and more. I'm guessing that the army builder is designed to compete with the very popular Battlescribe app, which in all fairness is pretty well maintained, although I suspect it'll probably look a lot more swanky. I think the real test as to whether or not people go over to that will just be ease of use. It's interesting that they say that the rules for your collection will be available here, and they have clarified in another statement that if you buy a printed codex in 9th edition, then it will come with a copy of the digital codex available, and you'll be able to use that to put the same book on the app, meaning that you can have the book in your app store, so it has the potential to be available to you even if you leave your regular book at home. It makes me wonder whether the app's going to support either the more basic EPUB version of the books, or the more interactive version where you can click on the various different bits of war gear and get more information about them page on page. As far as I know, they haven't entirely confirmed that yet, so that'll be one development that we need to learn about. For me, I think that this is a bit of a mixed blessing, because on the one hand, this is really satisfying one desire that a lot of people have had for a while. Being able to bundle both the codex and the digital version all in one go is something that will definitely increase the utility of their printed codexes, and will mean that you don't have to choose between one or the other. I would be surprised if they don't continue to sell their digital copies independently as well though. If you don't want to fork out for the print version, I'm sure you'll likely be able to buy them through the app. On the downside though, it does mean that unlike something like Battlescribe for example, it means that the rules for every faction won't be available free on the app, so you won't be able to mess around, say, theory crafting an army list for a race whose codex you don't own. And that's definitely a big draw to Battlescribe, the way that they have rules and points costs all built in. I do really feel that this feature could limit the use of the app in terms of being incredibly widely used, and Games Workshop's still going to be hanging on to the business model of paying money per faction to be able to access the rules of that faction. I'm sure it's a great stream of revenue for them, but I'm also sure that it holds back the game being more widely embraced by a larger community. Having to buy an expensive codex every time your army gets one updated is definitely something that might make you consider, do I still want to keep on playing 40k, or should I spend my money elsewhere? We also have the potential to look to the Age of Sigmar app as a precedent for what might be happening in the 40k app. On the Play Store, it has a rating of 4 out of 5, which means it's not too badly received by the community. The Age of Sigmar one does have all the war scrolls as free, but then that has been the case of Age of Sigmar since its inception, so I'm not sure that 40k will follow the same model. It would be very nice if it did, however. It also has a library section to allow you to read your purchased books, and allows you to buy more books on the app itself. It has the core rules of the game on there, which 40k also has for free, so I see no reason why they wouldn't be included in the app as well. And it has something called the Azir Army Builder that's available as an in-app subscription. So you do have to pay a little bit for that. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly how much, as I don't use it myself. To my knowledge, it allows you to use any of the options in the books that you've purchased, including things like artifacts and warlord traits and things, and you can collect some of the rules together in a section called My Battle, where you can have all the rules that are most relevant to you right at hand. I'd be surprised if we see too radical a deviation from this, even if it's not the perfect system. In general, I would say it's still going to be a step up compared with the codexes that we have at the moment, where of course we have none of this available. So in general, the announcement of this app is only really a good thing. It's going to give us the option to use the codexes that they sell in a new and different way, without detracting from the codexes themselves, so you have very much the two options of how to use the book. I guess one of the main questions as to how well it's going to take off will it supplant things like Battlescribe and Warhammer? Battlescribe already have an excellent army builder. There are certainly bugs, but the system's easily usable enough to be incredibly helpful making army lists, and of course it already has all of the points on it. Warhammer already seems to have published pretty much every rule that Games Workshop makes, and Games Workshop certainly don't seem to be shutting it down, and it's kind of hard to imagine a 40k app being any more useful than having all of the datasheets and rules for the army right at your fingertips on a web browser. I must admit that Warhammer seems to be incredibly well maintained, and it seems to be really easy to navigate between section to section and datasheet to datasheet, so it's certainly going to be stiff competition for anything that Games Workshop come out with. I strongly suspect that the app will see a lot of use regardless, just because it is the official source for Games Workshop, and most people will tend to prefer using the official source just because they promote it so much, and because being official it has a certain sense of credibility that's over and above anything else. So overall, I'm interested to see what comes out with this app. I'll likely have a mess around with it when it comes out with 9th edition, although I'm not particularly convinced I'm going to find it particularly useful for regular use. I will remain to be convinced. Let me know any thoughts and ideas you have down in the comments below, and anything that I might have missed in terms of information revealed about the app so far. There was quite a lot coming out at the weekend, and something might have slipped me by. If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics for more 40k chat and army tactics related content coming out pretty much every day. And if you've been enjoying the videos, I'd just like to mention the channel's Patreon page, which is what allows me to keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm very grateful to the channel's supporters, as you guys are the ones who allow me to spend all this time talking about model soldiers on the internet, so a big thank you. If you would like to support the channel and keep these videos coming, then there's some other additional benefits for being a Patreon of the channel. You get to see some of the videos early, you get to vote on what sort of videos come next, and there's the occasional prize draw where we give away some free miniatures, such as the one that we're doing at the start of June, where I'll be posting out a ton of the Space Marines from the No Fear box set. If any of that sounds good to you, then feel free to have a look at the Patreon link in the video description. Any support is massively appreciated. In any case, a big thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.